Hi, how is everybody doing today? I'm good. I am going to show you how I sew these blocks together for this daisy quilt that I'm making. This is a pattern piece I made. So I need to put that over here. Oh, gee, am I sitting on a pen or something? Kind of felt like I was. All right, so this is the daisy pattern I'm making. This one has not been trimmed. It's like that one. And as you can see, they all go in opposite directions. Different, it's like a pinwheel sort of direction like those are going. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I pin them together and how I sew it together, these two pieces right here, to line up with this right here. So I was thinking to myself, how am I going to, I know if I sew these two together right there in the center, it will work. But then how am I going to get these two on? So there's two ways of going about it. One way is you lay your right sides together. So this is the right side. It has little white flowers, and then this has flowers. So you lay them out like this. This is the way I've kind of figured it was gonna go. And so you lay out this piece right here, and you kind of make it even, and you pin it. Like so. And then you would just sew it on right there. And then you would do the same one. You would do the same one like this. And then once you sew that on, like so, then you would fold them straight out. Now they're going to stand straight up like this, okay? Similar to, and I thought, well, that's not gonna work. I figured this out to make it work, so. All right, so that wasn't gonna work. And in order to get the points lined up, now maybe there is another way of doing it, but the way I found was if I were to cut the petal lengthwise, like so, I just match them all up. Now when I go to cut out the petals, just make sure it's all matched up. Maybe finger press it here. Just cut right down the center, like that. So now you have two pieces. You have these two pieces. So it does add a little more piecework to it, but this was the only way I could figure out how it was going to be. So in this one, then I had to figure out how am I going to lay out, attach this one so it will go up straight like that. So I had to think of it. I thought, well, if I lay it this way and I sew it, it's gonna go that way, and that wouldn't really work. So I was thinking, so just playing around with the piecing. And so I came across, if I lay it this way, will it go? No. So I had to go out sideways like this. Like that. In order, so when I sew it, it'll just come straight up like that. So that's the way I've been doing it. And sometimes I have to stop and make sure it all lines up perfectly. to get it to work. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm using a zipper foot instead of my regular foot because I want more of an accurate, well, it can no bigger than a 1/4 inch seam allowance on this. So let's get started. See how it ends up. Going to move the corner down a little bit so it lines up. Hopefully it'll line up good. Hopefully. So this way it lines straight like so. And what I can do is I can take it over to the ironing board and I can iron it. Now what I should have done was move this down further because I have a little gap here. And then I have a whole big gap here. So let's redo this one and make sure I do it right this time. And maybe just even it out on both. See, it's still trial and error for me because just trying to do it so it works right. And this takes time. And I could I could do it on a chain, you know, like one after another after another. I could do that. And I've done that a little bit when I was making the one. Just making one, I chained it. And it works. So I might get to that point. So it's a matter of getting these laid out correctly so it'll line up correctly, like so. So this one lines up better and I will have to trim it. This one, I could do is just go in and trim it. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip it out and redo it. Good thing I really didn't backstitch it. This is not really.
The room temperature is 76 degrees Fahrenheit.
My seam rippers always disappear on me. Do you ever have that problem? I do. My seam rippers will disappear. I put them somewhere. Oh, here it is. Right there waiting for me. Okay, so we're just gonna rip this out real quick. And I'm gonna turn on the iron back here. It's plugged in, yes. So we can get it ironed nicely so you can see what I'm doing. So this is mainly all the piecing that you have to do. You have to do 4 of these, and then you sew them together. So it's not that many pieces that you are putting together. I mean, it's like when I did the flying goose, that was a little complicated. And those were done with half square triangles. But once you get the pattern down, then it's not so difficult. It's just, you know, it's all about lining them up really well. So when you go to put your square together, it all comes out and it looks good. So it looks like it's a little time consuming because it is. And like I said, I can chain stitch them and, you know, do all these at one time. I could do that. Okay, so this will go this way. And like I said, I gotta even them out. So this, you know, this kind of stuff takes it's a little tedious to get them to line up because the white is a little longer than the orange one is. So you want to get them so they sew nicely together. And you don't have to trim that much because you really don't want to have to trim too much. So let's hope I did it good this time. Let me see. Okay, so that's better. See? Okay, so the next step would be ironing it. Now what I'm doing here, when I take it to the iron, I want to make one side go down, the seam go down, press it down, and one seam press up. And that is why, the reason for that is when you go to sew them together, gotta make sure I do it right. When I sew them together, one seam is going down and the other seam is going up, like so. That way, hopefully, your points will meet together here. Hopefully. And that way you can kind of wedge them together so the lines meet up accurately and your points come out perfect. I don't always get it perfect, but I'm learning. So I'm gonna pin it together, pin the orange middle together. Now when you cut it like this, you're making it smaller. So this is the pattern. But since I cut it, now it's going to be a little smaller. So it's not going to be this wide on the fabric. Let me see, one of these I didn't cut. Okay, so this one is a little wider than this one. I did trim it down to match it, but it's a little wider because I didn't put the center, and this was the first one, and I put these together on here, but I still didn't like how I did it. So I felt that if I just cut them, it would make it easier to sew it together. All right, so then you just sew the whites together like that. And there again, it is a little off. I mean, you have a lot here that's gonna have to be trimmed, but that's the way it goes. And I can trim that. To make it a little less. Okay, so let's see how it goes. See how it comes out. All right, so let's open it up and see what we have. So it came out pretty good here at the corner. See, at the top, it came out pretty good. I like that. All right, so then I take it over to the iron, and I am going to iron it but I don't think you're going to be able to see me iron it. But I will iron it flat. Let me see. You might be able to. Put that down a little bit there. And iron the seams flat. And there you go. So there's your first piece of your flower, of your daisy. So this area right here is a square. Where is my square? So when I said it's squares, made from squares, it is. So this is a square here. It's a smaller square than this square, but it is a square. See, it is a square, and this is a half square triangle. Look, so that's how it look. So that's a square, and the top part is a half square triangle. So like that. It's just a smaller square. Alrighty, so that's how I do the daisies. Just like that. And that's another panel, that's another patch. So the patches are going to be, I mean, these squares are going to be my plan is, now right now they're about 10 inches. But what I want to make them is possibly, yes, they're 10 inches. I want to make them at least 12 inches or wider. So they'll be an inch here, an inch here, an inch here, an inch here. So they'll be wider all the way around. So let's see. Instead, it'll be 12 inches all the way around. So 12 by 12. Okie doke. It looks good. Thank you very much for watching my videos. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.